How you doing, folks? Welcome back to my spooky gallery. For today's painting, we're going to look at something mass-produced and loaded with a lot of corporate decision-making. This type of portrait is the Sony Pictures Animation. Why? Because God forbid an animation critic didn't talk about Sony Pictures Animation. In case you missed my review of the first film, I loved it. It's well animated with jokes that complement the visuals. Not to mention the bonus of having a cute story with fun, colorful characters. Is it the greatest animated movie I ever saw? Nah, but it delivered on everything it set out to do. Therefore, I was one of only a few people that looked forward to the sequel. I figured people knew this since this was a movie that people have requested me to look at. After seeing the first movie, I didn't mind it. However, it's strange that I never found it worth talking about in a review. Heck, after I saw it in theaters, I really didn't bother to see it again on video, up until I had to start writing this review. That's the funny thing about movies you know you like, but movies that you know you're probably not going to see again. You know it's a good enjoyment, but there's something that keeps you from wanting to see it again. And I guess that was my problem when really seeing this, so I think that's what this review is for. So that I can at least figure out what it was that kept me from wanting to really anticipate seeing Hotel Transylvania 2, much in the same way I really look forward to seeing Hotel Transylvania after I saw it in theaters. Before I talk about the film, let's go ahead and discuss Genndy Tartakovsky's involvement. When Genndy was first contracted by Sony to work on Hotel Transylvania, he was also tasked with making its sequel, an adaptation of Popeye, and an original product. However, between the time of Hotel Transylvania 1 and 2, something happened that changed the course of Popeye. Suddenly, he wasn't on board to direct it, and potential reports of his original project, imagine that, not getting a green light either. Based on what people had to say, it's been circulating that the Popeye project has been canned altogether. However, having seen a similar instance happen with Hotel Transylvania, I doubt it. Sony will probably keep the project in development hell until they need to have a release date, pull a director together, and have it made. A part of me feels this was a big factor to Hotel Transylvania's sequel. Something about the film seemed less developed than its predecessor. The best movies usually have an easy to understand plot with a conflict, obstacle, or question that the characters work on or answer. In the first movie, the idea of a world of monsters residing in a hotel where they can chill for the constant persecution by humans. One of the driving forces was Dracula's obsession with protecting his daughter due to the loss of his wife at the hands of the humans. Now that Drac is at ease once the human Johnny married his daughter, that conflict has been resolved. Monsters discovered that the humans worship them in a clever commentary on how we as a society love horror icons despite the fact that they're born killers. This can give enough premise for a sequel where the hotel can be open to humans as well. On top of the fact that you can also discover more about Johnny's life, including his family and friends. However, something odd happened. Rather than have this as the focus of the film, they had another thing thrown into the mix. A Scrappy-Doo type. Somehow, some way, shape, or form, most movies and TV shows had an interesting pattern when it comes to introducing new characters. Kimmy and Dill from the Rugrats, Gazoo from the Flintstones, Bliss from the Powerpuff Girls, every character to replace Will Grissom in CSI, every new character announced in The Fairly OddParents as a matter of fact, and of course, Scrappy-Doo, hence the name of this term. Once they're brought onto the show or movie, suddenly viewership dies. This isn't always the case, and I'm positive the Powerpuff Girls reboot didn't change much with or without Bliss. But it does give the impression that the people working on the show have no idea what else to do with the characters. They'll just go ahead and create new ones. Ones they usually designed to be adorable and marketable, to draw interest back into the series. As much as I thought I didn't mind Dennis at first, I suddenly thought more about this character. Why do we have to focus on the characters having a child when we could spend the rest of the film looking at how the family feels about Johnny marrying a vampire? Surely that would have been enough for a feature film. You could throw him into a third movie and it won't make a difference. If they did this, it probably would have felt more focused. Instead, you're left with questioning the moral implications of Johnny and Mavis having a child. But you also gotta remember, this is also the same series that openly mocked Twilight. And if you thought the relationship between a child and in-laws wasn't enough, throw in Drac's own father, Vlad, voiced by the irreplaceable Mel Brooks. Drac is afraid Mavis marrying a human would make him destroy his reputation as a monster. Honestly, this side story was not given enough time to be fleshed out. It just ends up feeling a little disappointing how little time we're given to this character, who mostly only appears throughout the third act. Another thing I found odd about the sequel is how many plugs it had. The first film didn't make me think about whether or not people used a Sony brand smartphone, but this one did. A part of me convinced me that this was a corporate decision. Show our products and you can have your movie made. Outside of the fact that this film was going to be made regardless of a plug for Genndy Tartakovsky since he was attached to it, I don't know, it's just odd. Was there a reason within the story to include these plugs? Kind of. Since humans are now coming to the hotel, Johnny updates the staff on current technology, including the use of social media. So you gotta give the film some credit for making this product plug placed in this story organically. Another part social media plays in this film is when Drac is secretly training Dennis to be a vampire behind his mother's back, and then she finds out. They incorporate it with a pretty funny parody of a YouTube poop.
That ain't happening. That ain't happening. Mother's already...
Yeah, the movie that has Mel Brooks just made a small reference to Mel Brooks. I bet you didn't think about this, but Mel Brooks probably has it somewhere in his contract that making fun of Dracula a second time in his career was bound to happen. Probably forced by his son Max. No joke, look it up. The writer of World War Z is Mel Brooks' son. Alright, moving on. With the lack of direction of the film, this does bring up the good qualities the movie is going for it, and that's the animation and humor. Even when they're reusing gags from the last film, they're adding new types of humor, jokes, and visual humor that the first film didn't explore. Just look at this gag where Frank messes up with Drac's wardrobe. Hey, I don't know about you, but I always find this scene funny. It's amazing how in 3 years the animators were able to improve on the expressions they give to these characters. The timing hasn't changed that much, but it didn't need to change. Now we're able to see a wide range of emotions that really feels redundant. It also helps that the animation doesn't just fuel humor like the last film, but action as well. It's surprising how action-packed this film could get. Near the end of the film, we witness Dennis become a vampire, and you could have sworn this was a scene from a Popeye movie. No joke, I'm not saying that because of the Popeye movie Genndy was supposed to direct, but because you have this familiar setup of a lonesome hero who sees the damsel in distress, grows some muscles from a strange phenomenon, and defeats the bad guys in an epic effort. All that's missing is the iconic theme music, and there you have it. Good animation and funny jokes aside, this movie just didn't have it in the story department. Either deal with Dracula coping with a human family, or humans coping with monsters. Throwing a baby just seems like overkill. It's sadly too much for me to say this, but this was an okay movie. I kinda wished it was a little bit more. So comment below and let me know what you think. Do you like Hotel Transylvania 2 just as much as you like Part 1? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm Joey Tedesco, and thanks for watching this review on the Cartoon Palooza.